All right, in today's podcast, we sit down with Lynda Wilson, Washington State Senator, recently retired. We're going to talk about how to keep Idaho from becoming like Washington. Let's go. All right, welcome to the North Idaho Experience, a podcast for the people in North Idaho and those who are North Idaho curious. These are the stories of those who call North Idaho home. If you guys are thinking about making North Idaho your home, give our real estate team a call. The podcast is our passion, but we pay the bills through real estate. Lynda Wilson, Washington State Senator, retired. Welcome to the show. Very excited to have you here. And you are a resident of North Idaho, correct?
Well,
part-time?
Part-time.
Okay, cool.
Right. 40%, we figured it out so far.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Working on, 100.
Lynda and I met at our mutual friend BZ's gun shop, North Idaho Arms, over in Post Falls. And that was cool. So I immediately had the thought of, hey, I would love to have you come on our podcast. And really the theme that we kind of wanted to hit on today is, for me, is how do we keep North Idaho and not go down the route that Washington went? Because you saw the whole thing. I mean, you've been there your whole life, right? So that's kind of my goal today, and just to pick your brain on that and go from there. We've got Eric Boardman with us too, if you're listening and you're not familiar.
I'm so excited for this, truly, like somebody that's just coming out of that, because I just envision politics as this just belly of the beast and what it's like when you get in there and how hard it is to get things done and what that party divide is like.
Yeah.
And just, especially in Washington, I've always said each state, we compete for good contributing members of society, and Washington is very much different than Idaho, even though they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
It just seems to be, I struggle to think of two other states that are that much different in such close proximity.
Because we're moving this, we're moving to the right.
Yeah.
That's why we're called the left coast, is because we compete, right? California, Oregon, and Washington, who can be the most progressive.
Yeah.
We're
like California or Washington very recently said, hey, hold my beer, and really stuffed it up with some nonsense.
I think it was hold my cider, but 100%.
We're
But I think, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like Washington's winning, if that's winning, but in that competition, I've seen California start to enact some policies where it started swinging back a little more neutral because it had such a huge impact on their economy and businesses leaving. Washington seems to be doubling down on a lot that, in my mind, would be less desirous.
Can we actually have a really basic question? I'm not, super smart on anything. What does a senator actually do?
Well, we write laws.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't even know the basics. So that's good info.
So I started out as a representative. So when I was first elected, I was in the House of Representatives for 2 years. And then 1 year into it, my senator retired, and they said, hey, we'd like you to run for the Senate. So it was like either up or out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody thought I was going to win the first place because I'd never run for office before. But then I ran, and so I've been in the Senate for 8 years, and that's when and those are 4-year terms. You have time to plan what you want to do, what bills you want to run, and then you have 4 years to do it. Where when you're in 2 years, you're in, and then the next year you're actually running for office again, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know whether you're going to be there the next year or not. So it's hard to make bills, you have a better chance of getting bills passed in the Senate. But you attend a lot of committee meetings and hear a lot of bills, listen to your constituents. We've gotten some good bills from constituents, and you have the lobbyists that bring the bills, representing those companies. But that's really what ultimately is right.
You bring up such a good point, and I think about that a lot with politics. It seems like so much of it is this constant state of planning for your reelection bid, right? Even in a 4-year term, you can see that with presidents, in their first term, where, all right, now I have to start setting this up and start to say the right things and enacting the right policies to cater to a larger base to ensure that I get the opportunity to get reelected so that I can try to then push whatever altruistic intentions I originally had in order to get there. It's wild.
Well, because you go in and you think you're going to save the day. I mean, you have big goals when you go in, and then you realize Right. Because when I got elected to the Senate, the Republicans were in charge. We actually had from 13 to 18 is when we lost the majority. And
that recently?
Yeah. And that's how fast it's gone. Like,
whoa,
downhill.
For some reason in my mind, I was thinking it was a much longer slide than that.
Just out of curiosity, at what time did mail-in balloting in the state of Washington become?
That was a long time ago.
Really?
A long time. I should know that, but it was a few decades ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So touching on how to keep Idaho, what are some of the warning signs or that you saw early on that we could avoid here?
Gosh, the list is so long. I'll go back to even just my county, right? We are now a charter county in Clark County, which is in Vancouver. And actually, my husband was a freeholder, which was the group that put together the charter, and it's one of the worst charters in the state. But in that charter, it says that we can appoint a sheriff. So that is huge if you think about it. And you've been watching, Bob Norris here and everything was happening, on the 4th of July. That's huge. I think we have one appointed sheriff in Washington State, and that's in Seattle. And several years ago during COVID, I helped put a letter together about constitutionality and whether you will support the Constitution. And the only person that didn't sign it was the elected sheriff, because they're accountable to those who are unelected sheriff. The one that was appointed, right? Because she was appointed, or she talks to the people that appoint her, right?
Right.
And if she does the wrong thing, they will take her out.
Same like a police chief, right? You're appointed by the city council.
Exactly.
So
But that's huge.
she was appointed by city council.
King
and
County.
Oh, okay, King County commissioners.
Of course.
Yeah, they
Got it.
appoint her, and then
So she's their little puppy dog.
right. And so when you start looking at that trend, and you're starting to hear about that trend across the country, it's like, it makes me just really nervous about that, because that they are very powerful people.
Oh yeah,
in the state.
Sheriffs. I love sheriffs because they are elected and they speak for the people, and they, there are some fine examples of sheriffs across the country that are doing the right thing. And if they were controlled by a city council, it would. There's no way it would be that. I just talked to Jordan Redman up here, and he said he's trying to push legislation to make city police chiefs elected officials as well. And I was like, that could be. I know you have mixed feelings on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I'd love to just see what he has written up and what the intention of that.
Right.
Again, elections are such a different animal. When you're talking about that elected position, then all of a sudden sheriffs are political, and then you go back into the same thing that I mentioned before, where it seems like you're in this constant state of planning for your reelection bid to make sure you can stay in. And sheriffs and police chiefs have to make really difficult decisions sometimes that aren't always going to be super popular, but they're the right thing to do. And I worked for both. I worked for the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office and then Coeur d'Alene PD, and some of those decisions that have to be made might initially alienate some of your voting base, but it's the right decision. And I'd hate for it to come up where it's 6 months before an election, you can't do something that you absolutely need to do because you're worried about the reelection.
And that's true. I mean, that goes along with the legislature. That's so true.
Right.
One of the things I did see early on was they pass a bill. Well, they scare you with a big bill, right? And they're called omnibus bills, and they have a lot of stuff in them. And I always vote no on those because you don't know what's in the details.
There's
and
pork.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's something. And but what you find is, and if you go, let's just go right to the gun laws, right? They bring out, like this year, they brought out the bill that if you don't have liability insurance, which doesn't exist, then you would be required to deposit $25,000 in a CD with the Department of Licensing for every single gun you own. That way, if you're ever held liable, then the money's there to take care of that liability.
Each gun?
Each gun, right?
I wonder if anybody's done that yet.
Well, no. But, and the interesting thing is the commissioner now, the insurance commissioner, was a state senator. I worked with her directly. She hates guns. And she tried to do basically this bill. But the insurance companies are like, oh, no, because they become then basically will have the registration, right? They will have, because you will have to tell every gun, every serial number.
Right.
Right. But
my
then
God.
but that one didn't go anywhere, right? So all we got was the permit, the permit. So it's like, oh, phew, right? And every year it's like there's a big bill, and then they're going to take it off the table. But then we're like, okay, well, this is all we got then.
The one little thing. So it's that frog in the pot mentality that we talk about
Yes.
all the time. Is like we're slowly cooking you.
Yes. And then they, several years ago, we had the assault weapon ban, right? Whatever you want to call assault weapon. Most modern rifle, sporting rifle in the country. But so they banned that, but they grandfathered us that had ARs already, right? We can keep them. Unless, of course, down the line, now they can remove them from us, right? They can say, well, that's not working. We still have gun violence. So we need to take away the ones that we let you keep, right? It's just incrementalism as we move along.
Yeah, because they know if they do a big push, right, then you're going to get big pushback, and that's when the people would more likely stand up. But yeah, you throw this enormous bill at people, everybody's like, whoa, and then okay, we're just going to do this little bit here.
We're just going to slowly erode.
They're playing the long
right.
game.
Yeah.
They're playing the long game.
And,
they're like China. China plays the long game too.
Well,
Playing chess.
I feel like historically, 'cause I never gave a crap about politics until I became an adult. And then you start paying attention,
Yeah,
thinking
you
about your
do.
kids. But
Yep.
the left tends, at least in the 90s, from what I remember, they played the long game better. I mean, they went in and infiltrated schools, right?
Oh.
The Department of Education is almost completely dominated by one side, and
Oh, absolutely.
that has grown so much in its ability to influence and indoctrinate in a lot of ways. I mean, what gets pushed out of our public school system that we all pay for in taxes is wild to me.
Why do you think that that they're so much better at that than the conservative side? Is it like, for me, I guess I'm probably more libertarian than anything, where I just like, do your own thing, just don't hurt anybody else, right? Is that the problem? Is that a lot of conservatives have that same mindset of
Control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all of their agenda is about control, right? Remove our guns so we can't protect ourselves.
It's like
Controlling your kids, right?
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah,
in
it starts
schools.
there when
Yeah.
they're very young. It's
Yeah.
like there's always a part of me that's like, I don't want to believe that to be true, but damn it, when it's in your face over and over again, I mean, you can't ignore it anymore. That seems to be the play.
Right, and a number of the bills that were passed this year, because we discussed it before, some of the laws when Scott was in here, and we were talking about some of the stuff that passed in the state of Washington. A lot of it seemed targeted at kids and education and what parents are going to be allowed to be involved in with their kids at
That
school.
is scary.
I mean,
Well, okay, so the facts. So, again, we have the initiative process. You guys do too. I was looking it up to see how yours worked. So we had 6 initiatives, and 4 of them went to the people. So the other 3 were passed by the legislature. So one of those was the Parental Rights Initiative, and they decided to pass it because it didn't really do anything, is what they said, right? But we're going to be keeping a close eye, but we're going to pass it. Well, what that did was if the people pass the initiative, then they can't touch it for 2 years. If the legislature passes it, they can change it the next year, which is exactly what they did. So then they came in, so they knew. And they weren't going to, because Reichdahl, the superintendent of public instruction, he is not abiding by federal law now, right? Because we still have the DEI and the gender affirming care and all that the Trump administration has said, you're not going to do that. And if you don't, or if you do, you're going to not receive any more federal funds. So they're worried about that, but not worried so much that they're going to change their way, but they came in and then they basically gutted the bill. The parental rights bill. And this is one that we had almost 500,000 people sign the initiative. And then it passed by, I don't know, it was close to 60% in almost every county. So that clearly was something the people wanted. But it didn't matter because it didn't fit. They said it didn't fit the law. It's like, well, no, we changed the law. That's what the initiative did.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go back to before we didn't change the law, right? So it was very frustrating. And, same with the police pursuit bill. That was also one that was a initiative to the people. All of these wound up with 450,000 people signing it. And this was incredible because we had 6 of them. You usually only see 1 or 2 get on the ballot ever.
Yeah, and you guys got 3 passed, if I read right, which is in your last, kind of like your last big push before you decided to leave and spend more time with grandkids. But
well, and then the banning of natural gas. Right.
Oh,
that one, that was off the charts. Everybody wanted that one. And of course, this is the other thing I was going to say, watch your judges, Supreme Court and district judges, right? Because we had a district judge in King County that said, not that long ago, a few months ago, say, oh no, there was too many topics in that initiative. It's moot. So no one wants that natural gas banned in Washington.
It's insane.
It's insane. It is. And I've argued that. I was on the Building Code Council and for years, and they're the ones that are pushing that. And I fought and fought and fought. And I'm an ex officio member, but I can't vote on that. I can make motions, but I can't vote on that committee.
Hey, you seem really, really informed about this topic. You're not allowed to vote on this.
That's right.
Completely makes sense if you don't think
Well,
about
that's
it.
what they told us when we ran a bill to allow us to vote. They said we weren't smart enough. So.
What happened with the police pursuit bill?
Well, they passed that one in the Senate, in the legislature, and but it was watered down so much. I mean, that was passed, and then they came back and they had to change.
So can cops pursue over there still?
Yeah, they can now, but for several years we could not.
Oh, so it reversed that. Okay,
right.
Well, that's positive.
Was this right around the same time where they said that you couldn't detain based on reasonable suspicion?
Yes,
you had to have
absolutely.
probable cause, and then Washington's crime rate absolutely skyrocketed.
Right, and our thefts of our vehicles, because
Hundred-
cops would just watch them drive away because you couldn't pursue them.
It's 180% of the national average.
Yes,
Vehicle thefts
it's huge.
in the state of
I
Washington.
worked on getting funding for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But what's wild is when you look at it at the same time, this is what boggles my mind about politics, and it's from city level and state level. At the same time this is all happening, violent crime rate has gone up astronomically, vehicle thefts. Petty theft somehow went down 10%. It was like, that didn't go down. They just stopped criminalizing it.
Exactly.
They just completely fudge the numbers so that they can go and say, look at what we did. But they're just not charging anybody.
Right.
Well, I think it's all going to be solved. Did this happen? I just saw this was at least proposed where, or maybe it went through, where they're going to give, the state is going to provide fentanyl and other drug for those users in a safe environment where they can go inject.
And that they've had safe injection sites in the Seattle area for a while. They tried to pass laws down since they did that in Seattle, but we had enough on the other side that it didn't pass. But now they're doing it.
Yeah, I can see the mindset, but they just don't realize how wrong they are. Of, hey, if we give it, they're not going to have to go steal to get it, and if we give them a safe dose, they might not OD.
Okay, but what's a safe dose?
Right.
That's the
Right?
problem.
See that?
I see where their mind's at, but they don't get it. It's not going to work.
The amount that they call safe, because this bill did run a couple of times while I was in office, and the amount that they call safe in one shot would kill you, right? So do you think that an addicted person is going to realize how much they should take? No. I ran a bill for 3 years to protect children. Children are being overdosed by fentanyl by their parents who are addicted by the smoke, right? We had kids in cars and the parents pass out, the kids are in the back seat, and they either overdose and die or they overdose and they live. Damn. You couldn't do anything with the parents who just overdosed them. I wanted to add it to the statute because the only drug you can do that with is methamphetamine. So I wanted to add fentanyl.
So it's
to
not
methamphetamine.
even. So you can't even charge them with like felony child endangerment or whatever.
Exactly. And
Because it's decriminalized. They're victims.
oh my gosh.
And we fought that. Oh my gosh. And then it was run again this year. The leader of the Republican Party in the Senate, he asked if he could run that bill. And I said, absolutely, we need to get it through. And they didn't hear the bill again. They just don't want to criminalize the parents, but they're allowing the kids to stay in with the parents.
What's the mindset there? I don't understand.
It's
Or is it just virtue signaling to 10x or?
Yeah.
Do they actually think, do they believe what they're doing is helpful?
Well, but the statistics tell you otherwise.
Right.
Right. That's the thing.
Or you ask any cop on the street, you know what I mean? Like any one of them, and they'll tell you exactly what's going on.
You know, I'm like nerding out hard over here.
I know. Eric was the sergeant of the opiate task force in Coeur d'Alene PD. So this is his wheelhouse.
Okay.
And I intentionally slide these things in just to get him going because he loves talking about this stuff.
No, but look at it comparatively, because we're going to compare Washington State and Idaho naturally. And again, for folks that know, I grew up in Spokane, so if I feel like I can talk trash.
Yeah, you can talk.
Because I've watched what it's done to a city that I grew up in, and I was proud to grow up in. But if you compare that to legislation that was passed in the state of Idaho, Idaho has obviously fentanyl trafficking, which requires minimum mandatories, which removes judges' discretion, which I am a big fan of in a lot of cases when it's serious crime. But there's also a portion of it where it's drug-induced homicide, where if you're responsible for the delivery of a controlled substance that you knew or should have known would have been lethal, then you can get 25 years to life. Weird that in the nation, the overdose rate is roughly 1 in 3,300. 1 in 3,300. It's the leading cause of death in adults 18 to 45.
That's right.
1 in 3,300. In Coeur d'Alene, it's 1 in 9,600. In Kootenai County, it's 1 in 6,900. So national average 1 in 3,300. What do you think it is in Spokane?
Oh, it's
1 in 2,200.
Yeah.
I don't even know King County statistics, but I know it's significantly worse than that.
It is.
Because you've decriminalized the entire thing. Right. There has to be an element of accountability and punishment associated with it.
Well, and then when you look at the homelessness, right? Seattle's off the charts, but when they go to build these little 10 by 10 homes to get them out of their tents and into their homes, those little tents, there's no barrier, right? They say, move in. We need to get you to move in before you can get better. No, they bring their addiction. They bring whatever it is with them. There's no treatment for them. And that's why, it's a hellhole in Seattle.
They trash everything that they come in contact with.
Well,
and that's not compassionate, by the way.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Right.
All you got to do is go down there. They look like shells of human beings. Yeah. And it's hard not to feel bad. I was able to do my job and hold people accountable and take people to jail, and at the same time feel bad for where they ended up in life.
Sure.
That's compassion. But compassion also means, just like with your kids, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. And most of them that chose treatment, and by the way, that has to be their decision, were because they didn't want to go to prison.
Right.
Or they didn't want to lose their kids.
And when that Blake decision happened over in which was not my pants, right? That was because the gal said that drugs in her pants that she borrowed from a friend were not hers.
I'm only laughing because I've heard about 500 people say that to me when I was a cop, and it's the joke, like, these aren't my pants.
These aren't my pants is what decriminalized felony possession of drugs in Washington.
The Blake decision.
So that argument actually worked.
Yes, it did.
Oh, it made drug possession decriminalized.
That's right. That's right. Crazy. And they did this, and it was like at the end of session, and we were scrambling because we didn't know what to do because, again, it decriminalized them. So, and then when it was amazing to me how long it took to basically criminalize drugs again. And even at that, it's not anywhere close to what it was before. It could be a gross misdemeanor, but they changed the terminology of what a gross misdemeanor is. Right?
Well, so you look at it, because when do you think that really started to take place? 2018, maybe?
Oh, yeah. No, I think it might have been 19.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When Republicans no longer controlled the state.
Oh,
of Washington.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, and again, I'm the same way. I'm not far right. I think I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like some of the ideologies of the other side. But regardless, the reason I bring that up is we pulled stats for the last couple of videos. In 2013, violent crime rate in Washington, they were ranked 30th out of 50. Now they're 3 out of 50.
Well, think about Tacoma. I just heard the statistic about Tacoma. It has a higher crime rate than Compton, California.
Damn. And I mean, Compton. Man. Everybody knows Compton.
Right.
And wow. And I still firmly believe that's with them, and that's violent crime rate, but they're underreporting a lot of their crimes. They're reclassifying home invasion robberies to trespassing. I know that happened in Spokane when the New York guy was the police chief over there. I can't remember his name. not a big fan. But anyways, I know they were reclassifying crimes so that they could go to city council and say, oh, look, our crime rate's going down.
Change the standard. There you go.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Wow.
Yep.
Dang, is there hope?
For Washington?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I got out at the right time.
I think you
This
did
was
too.
an absolute crazy session, and it was a long session, 105 days. And
What's the morale like in the Senate?
it's demoralizing in some cases, right? You get out on the Senate floor, you're saying the right thing, you're telling them the facts, and they just turn it around and say either we're lying or you're wrong, and they blather on about something else, things that aren't even true,
Right.
and create statistics of their own, and it's.
Do they feel like? Do they feel like they're right, or are they just playing a game? I don't understand.
Well, they all know that removing guns from law-abiding citizens is not going to stop the gun control or the
Gun violence.
Gun violence.
violence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but they'll tell you that on the floor of the Senate. But behind the scenes, it's like, yeah, we know it's not going to work. But they can do it. They can take it away. They can make it difficult for us. They can make it difficult for every FFL in the state of Washington, especially with the bill that was run the last year I was in session, which was the one that requires bars across windows. Just think about this. A simple thing. I wanted to allow them to put the bars on the inside of the windows because they will come up to the bars on the outside. They will tie it on and then take a truck and rip the bars out, right? You can't do that if they're inside. No, that amendment, no. See, that's such common sense, but no, we're not going to change it. And part of that is because if the bill did get through the House and with all its changes, they really don't want to change it in the Senate because then it has to go back to the House to be voted on again, right? So every time it goes back. So we work really, really hard to try to amend that bill just once so that it has to go back and go through the process again because it slows it down, and maybe you'll convince somebody in the meantime, right, in the time frame that we're trying to change it and it goes back to the House. So that's the kind of things that we have to think about in the minority is what can we do to slow a bill down? So last year I was there, they wanted an increase in property tax by 3%, right? And we just said, hell no, we don't want that. And
that's a lot.
It's a lot. And so inside of 24 hours, we gathered people, we had a press conference, blew that bill out of the water, and had people come in, just the community come in and tell them, how is it going to affect you? And they pulled the bill down. So we didn't vote on that. They tried it again this year, and it didn't fly again this year because they know that's not popular. But they instead changed the way that they're going to do levies for schools.
Oh, I saw that. They increased it by 55%, I think, the taxable amount for the levy.
Yeah, you can, yes, so that you can... Now the locals are going to be paying again for basic education, which was the whole McCleary Act and the whole McCleary decision way back when, right? And then in 2017, when we were in control, we fixed that. We fixed the McCleary decision problem. And then the very next year, they undermined it and changed it again. And so it just started back on the same path. So now you can raise your levy rates. So those in poor areas... Kids have teachers that don't get paid much, new teachers, right? And then those in like King County have great teachers because they're paid very well. They're paid very well in Washington State.
Oh, yeah.
Teachers.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for Idaho to retain good teachers, except that some of them outright refuse to teach in the state of Washington just because of what gets pushed down.
Right. What do you think? What's the perfect society in the mind of a Democrat in Washington? Like, where do they vision this going? Have you had that conversation? I'm trying to understand what the goal is here.
Do you guys know Rules for Radicals? Well, they do that. They go through the process. They ridicule you. They make fun of what you believe. They're using that to, all I can think is that they really want to control everyone. more people on government subsidies, the better off they're going to be. They think, of course, that's the way they're thinking, because then they can control everything. You're controlling your kids. What does utopia look like for them? I don't know.
Well, and I think you're right. I think people will naturally vote. If you're putting free stuff in their hand, they're going to naturally vote for more free stuff.
More free stuff.
Yeah, but it's not free stuff. It's on the backs of hardworking. And I can tell you what the end product is. I have 4 sets of clients right now, all from Western Washington. They've been there for 35 plus years. Amazing contributing members of society, raised their kids there, had them in 4-H, have watched all, and hardworking, blue collar, but have had success. They're leaving. Mm-hmm. They said, with everything that's happened now, we're out. And that's the people that are leaving Seattle. You know what's not? All drug addicted, homeless people downtown that are creating a lot of their property crime. So if that's their perfect utopia, you've got it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean,
I don't know how much worse it can get.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know either.
Well, it was eye-opening to me, man. One of the most profound things that I watched on a documentary was, I think it was Como, but it was Seattle is Dying.
That was incredible.
It was exceptional for its time. I mean, because Seattle was ahead of the fentanyl game early. I mean, they had probably the biggest group of hardened opiate addicts, fentanyl users downtown, and I was Chris something, I think, but whatever. And he wasn't a hard right guy by any stretch. He just loved the city, and man, that was mind blowing to me. So Seattle's known for a long time. Yep. They just continued to go down that path of decriminalizing, and they're reaping the results.
Well, and more are coming into the state that because of the free stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the homeless are coming in because they are taken care of, or not kicked off the street, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're attracting that kind of person in this state. And I have neighbors. My daughter moved over here 4 years ago, right after COVID, said, I can't do this anymore, right? Yeah. You can tax me all you want, but when you start affecting my kids, and that's where a lot of it's parents.
That's the hard line for a lot of folks.
It is.
They're moving their grandkids here. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are multi-generation, and they are moving their whole families here. Mm-hmm. And, dude, I talked to your clients just the other day and had that very similar conversation. Very successful, really, really good people, lived in Washington their whole lives, extremely supportive of the area where they live and the first responders there, and they're leaving.
Yeah.
They just don't want...
It's a hard one for them.
Yeah, they don't want their kids to grow up here. So that part's mind-blowing to me, that you would continue to push those types of people out.
Mm-hmm. I love the way Eric always puts it, that states are competing for productive good citizens. Yeah. And I think they need to start looking at it that way, because they're missing the mark.
But they want to have a wealth tax, right? And they've basically tried that in Seattle, right? And they had payroll tax, head tax, and then that's when Amazon was building a building, and then they decided they were going to charge an exorbitant amount, and Amazon quit building the building and moved. Right, and they said, okay, because they were here, they were supporting the town of, the city of Seattle.
And you ran them out.
But now they keep saying, don't you think they're going to leave? And then Bezos leaves, and I would bring that up and occasionally, because for my position, I was the Republican budget lead. So that budget was my life for the last 4 years over there. And I would bring up the fact that, look, you guys you're killing the golden goose here. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're not going to leave. And I go, but Bezos did. Oh, well, because his mother lives in Florida. Oh, yeah, that's it, right?
That's why.
Yeah, oh,
sure.
Right.
He up and moved his entire business where the guy can charter a private plane and fly 5 hours really comfortably, all right? Probably more comfortable than you fly, Seth. Would fly extremely comfortably all the way up there. I'm sure he did all of that for that very reason. I've having a conversation with your clients the other day. I remember where I was going with that now. It just took my brain a minute to kick on. But our cops here are very aggressive. We're very proactive when it comes to meth and fentanyl, because we recognize the precursor to so many other crimes. So we're very aggressive in Idaho. So this isn't to take away anything from what cops do here and what our city council backs and what our commissioners back.
Right.
But Washington also creates a vacuum where they know that it's decriminalized. So why would they stay in Idaho where there are consequences when Washington has created this environment where there aren't any? Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about more people coming into Seattle, of course they are. Mm-hmm. They don't have to worry about consequences.
Yeah.
Are you going to risk that if you're in Boise and you're a hardened fentanyl user? No, you're going to go to Seattle where it's totally legal.
I wonder, Lynda, do you think, is it going to keep going? What's Seattle going to look like in 10 years? Or do you think that will hit a point when even everyone's like, all right, we've gone too far.
That's what I'm hoping for, right? The tipping point, I really thought the tipping point was going to be COVID.
Yeah.
When the governor came so heavy-handed on so many things, right? 6 feet apart, wear masks. If you're not vaccinated, you need to leave. We can't save a spot for you. We can't keep your job. You're fired.
You can't visit your dying grandparent or your parent.
And I had friends whose husband had a massive stroke and died in the hospital, and she couldn't be with them.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
I would
Right.
fucking fight people.
Oh yeah.
I know.
I'm sorry,
on.
but you're not stopping me.
Well, and the thing is, we're right across the river from Oregon, right? Even Oregon is like, we were allowed 5 people at a table if you went out to dinner, right? Wear the mask in, but when you're sitting at a table, you can take your mask off, no big deal. But it was 5, and you had to be related to them, right? And then
show me your papers.
right.
Okay.
But in Oregon, it was 10. So we would drive across the river.
Yeah.
And then we had people who owned restaurants in both states.
Yeah.
And my question would be, why are we not looking at every other state? What are they doing that we're not doing, or vice versa? Let's learn from that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we would never do that.
Let's look at Idaho, where no one's doing anything.
Oh.
And we're all fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I came over for Mother's Day on 2021, and I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I went into the resort, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wait, y'all didn't get the memo? There's some big shit happening. Yeah, nobody cares.
No.
Our downtown in February of all the coldest month of the year was off the chains because all the bars were shut down in Spokane.
Right.
So we got a whole new contingent.
That was probably troublesome for you guys as cops.
It was wild. I was part of it.
Did you almost say it was fun?
It was a little fun. It was just I enjoy educating people and training them on certain things. So I got to educate a lot of people about how the laws are very different in Idaho than they are in Washington.
That would be kind of satisfying.
It was that first weekend. I was part of a street crimes unit, so downtown went crazy, and there was some violent crime that first weekend, like gun brandishing and stabbings and just stuff that we don't usually get downtown.
Right.
Because a whole bunch of people would come in because the bars were closed. So. Right. There were some unruly folks that came over. So they said, you guys go solve the problem. We said, okay.
Gladly.
We'll go solve the problem. Just understand the first weekend's going to get pretty crazy. And I know it was like 7 arrests the first night, multiple uses of force. It was different.
But see, then they realize they're going to get arrested.
Then it was fine.
Right.
Honestly, after that, it really chilled out. We kind of drove a standard, and then it kind of addressed it. And gosh, I said this to he and I were talking about this the other night too. If you let empowered cops to be cops and backed them up and gave them 6 months in downtown Seattle, a whole bunch of that would be addressed. Mm-hmm. Cops are really good at being cops, but there's no cops over there that want to be cops right now.
Well, they're afraid to be cops.
Yes.
Because,
right. You're going to get sued, prosecuted, who knows?
Right. Yeah. And I was just thinking, because the Office of Independent Investigation now is open, right? And they're
Is
now
that like a state investigative?
State-run investigated. So if there's a shooting by a cop or whatever, then they will come in and they will do the investigation. But you could be charged with murder.
So are all of these civilians that I'm assuming are running this?
Oh, yes.
Are they all use of force experts?
No.
And they understand what it means to make a rapid decision with quick and rapidly evolving circumstances?
God, that would terrify
That makes
me.
total sense. So you have no idea how the brain responds to a critical incident, but you're evaluating 30 people in a room, decide the decision you made in 4 seconds may or may not have yielded a more favorable result after the
And
fact.
that's the reason why we have, like Clark County, per capita, we have the lowest in the state, in the country, of per capita, of cops per capita.
I'd
no
be,
blame.
I would
We have
be
a
terrified to work over there. I'm sorry for those that do.
You couldn't pay me enough.
Well, why would you? That's right. You would
Right.
hesitate. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that the cop would? So not only puts the cop in harm's way,
Yeah.
but what's happening on? Why are you hesitating, right? And then to be charged because you did do something, and then you're charged with murder.
I'd be hesitant to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Chase people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, domestic violence, right?
Right.
That's the most,
Yep.
that's the scariest
Yep.
situation for a cop.
And I think if you look at it on a micro level, so my stepdad did some like nerdy gray matter brain stuff at WSU when he was getting his master's degree, and they set up a individual testing process. Essentially, it was like a FATS trainer where you go in and it's scenario based and you respond to the stimulus that you receive. It was domestic violence. So they took several cops, I want to say it was 10 to 12, and they put them through varying scenarios. And all they did, and this just speaks to what goes on in your brain and survival and what's been ingrained in you, is they changed the race of the perpetrator, right? They changed the race of the aggressor. When it was a minority, their reaction time was like 1.2 seconds slower.
Whoa.
And that was across the board.
How long ago was this?
Gosh, probably 5-6 years.
Okay.
So it was
like
right
post Ferguson.
Yes.
Okay.
But right during all of that. So what you're doing, and I think you've done that with cops have become apathetic. Because they have to be. They're going to think about them and theirs. And I encourage every cop to do that, think about you and yours. But they say, man, if I do anything, especially if it meets one of these wickets, right, one of the protected classes, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough deal for them.
Wow.
WA cops. Do you know WA cops? So Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. Yes. They would come up to Olympia every year, and they would bring their shoot, don't shoot scenario.
Yeah.
And I would be there every day, right? I mean, it was a neat experience. But I would always encourage my Democrat friends to come in, because even in that scenario, which is just a quick setup, right?
In controlled environment, you're perfectly safe.
Right, but they're playing the videos, and and I went up, and I'm fairly well trained. I've taken a lot of hours of firearm training, and I in that scenario shot a guy who was holding a stapler because it was shiny
metal object, right?
And I'm like, ooh, just in that situation, it was. But you can't get Democrats to go. It's just like they don't want to know they're wrong.
Yeah,
it would be in complete opposition to what they already know to be accurate, whether it's accurate or not.
Right.
I think it'd be such a disruption to their foundation that they don't want to get hit with that reality. Right. It's interesting. And then when you go through 4 signs, like you shooting a guy with a stapler is a completely reasonable reaction to somebody.
Well, yeah. In the position I was in, because he was being furtive.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
But
what's it like? I mean, behind the scenes in the Senate. I mean, is there any collaboration between both parties? Are there fistfights? Like what?
Actually, I would say probably 85% of the bills that go through are bipartisan.
Okay, that gives me hope, because I always worry that there's so much fighting. I mean, it kind of seems what's going on in the federal government right now is like you can't get anything done because everyone just opposes everything the other side does.
Yeah,
but it's not like that.
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of bills that I would run with Democrats. I mean, they would ask me to sign on. Of course, I very much scrutinized those before, right? Because there's always the devil in details. But I was just thinking last night. I think I passed 39 bills in 10 years. And all of those were either unanimous or nearly unanimous. So, and I had some really good bills that, and some took a few years to get through. Actually, the one that I think is my most important took me 3 years to get through.
Which one was that?
It was the Tiffany Hill Act. So that was the bill that created the ability to use technology for real-time notification. So domestic violence victim can wear this technology, have a cell phone or a watch, right? And the perpetrator will be wearing the ankle bracelet, but the ankle bracelet has GPS on it, and we didn't have this before. And I ran it for 2 years, and then we had this murder in Vancouver of a young mother who, former Marine, her husband came constant, 10 years or more of domestic violence that she'd been dealing with. She had 3 kids. The kids were in school, and she got involved with PTA, shared the fact that she had been, that domestic violence was prevalent to her family. And she came out of school one day with her mother and her 3 kids, and they got in the car at the parking lot, and he was sitting just a few feet away. He'd rented a car, so she didn't recognize the car. And he sat there for 20 minutes before he got out of the car, or drove the car in front of her car, got out of the car and shot her through the windshield and killed her. And but if the technology that I'd been trying to run for 2 years, and she'd had that because she did a lethality test, and it scored the highest that they'd ever done before. And so had she had that technology, we believe she'd be alive today, because she would have either known he was there and gone back into the school, or he wouldn't have shown up because he would know they know, because the police have the GPS, and if with a protective order, she knew she would be killed by him.
Yeah.
So you're saying this would be instituted after a protection order or no contact order has been issued?
Yeah.
So it's like an early alert system, essentially, on when he's in close proximity.
Yeah, because
It'd be great for prosecutions too, because
Well,
you can
right.
see, yeah,
exactly.
Well,
you know
yeah,
how many
yeah.
times
Clear
they
cut.
were around. Yeah, because there's a track record there.
yeah.
And because
That's a
he
good
put a
one.
Good
GPS
for
on
you.
her. So, but that again, that took me 3 years. If I were in the House and I never got reelected, right, then it wouldn't have.
It would've just gone
maybe
away.
maybe it wouldn't have gone anywhere, or someone else would have taken the bill. But yeah, I was
Well-
just down in Texas for the Crimes Against Women conference. With the prosecuting attorney and the sergeant that worked with Tiffany before she was killed, and we presented on that bill because we're
Interesting.
trying to, But anyway,
You've probably run into my stepdad on occasion. He ran the DV task force for Spokane, and he speaks with Safe Passages all the time.
oh, is that right?
And he's on their board, yeah.
Oh,
And he was in Washington doing DV stuff for like 10 years. But,
oh, maybe I did.
yeah.
Yeah, we have some awesome people up here. Brad over at and Nate
Yeah,
with the
the
Innocent
Innocent,
Project.
Oh, yeah.
We had them on the podcast recently. Amazing people. So many good people doing good things up here. It's nice. It's nice.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I watch. I watch from afar.
Yeah. Well, I think they have a vested interest in keeping the community the way that it is. And I think you do too. I mean, you spend 40% of your time, that'll bump up. I'm just telling you, you're just going
I
to
know.
get your feet wet, and then you're going to bump up.
More.
I can
But-
just feel it when I drive over from Battle and I'm getting close to the line. the
Everybody
Washington
says
Isn't it
that.
weird? You can feel it.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Everybody
you,
says
there is
that.
a palpable shift when you pass into Washington, because I go over there for drill still. I drill up by the VA hospital.
I think, I firmly believe that humans have somewhat of a collective consciousness. So maybe there's just a lot of unhappy people on that side, and and that's what you're sensing. I don't know, but I feel it too.
Yeah.
I think people are generally happier here in Idaho because we're free.
It's just, and you know what I've heard here too, when we talk about so that Idaho doesn't turn into Washington.
Yes.
I'm hearing, and I talked to Brian actually, BZ,
Yep.
Yeah.
and we've had conversations about this, and he says the same thing, that a lot of voters in Idaho are apathetic. Right? They like the voting for Trump. Right? They want Trump. Over here, you wanted Trump, and so he's going to get elected anyway. So I vote. Right? Except for that, you miss all of the down ballot, all the
Right.
people that are running for office. You have to pay attention to the people that are running for office, because not only, I mean, you may say you're Republican, because I said, oh my gosh, if I ran over here, it would be such a different race for me. It would be, no, I'm more conservative than you, because over there,
Right.
I was in a very swing district over there. And so I had to be, very, I never lost my principles. My principles guided me the whole time. I would never sell my vote. But there are a lot that the bill is so important to them that they will make a deal, right? And so you've got to really pay attention to what the legislator is doing. And because in a state like this, you should have really, really conservative legislators. And I think some of the bills that I see go through aren't as conservative as I think they should be.
Oh, and judges.
Oh, yeah.
You have to watch judges' decisions. And I know I'm failing. I know, Seth, you're going to give me that look.
We're working on this.
When I left the PD, I said that I'm going to start a judicial review where we're going to run that on here so we can analyze, district judges, magistrate judges, and the state. So the people can just be informed when they go to vote, because the tendency is, oh, well, Idaho's really safe. We're 49th out of 50. The judges must be great. So they vote for the incumbent. And
Right.
you talk about the boiling frog.
right.
You have to be able to root out
That's
certain
exactly right.
root out
I wrote a
certain
bill
judges.
for that,
What's that?
for exactly what you're doing.
Oh, really?
It was a bill to watch the opinions and all that of judges.
Yeah, just
I
having.
imagine that
Didn't go
guy
anywhere.
got shut
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere.
Especially
Well-
there.
Are you kidding me? Accountability?
No way.
Well, because you guys were private business owners. You were never an attorney before, right?
No.
And attorneys tend to be what I would estimate 70% of a legislature. At least it seems that way. It's a disproportionate amount. And what concerns me about that is lawyers seem to have this very odd, I don't know if it's odd, but they have this ability to like dictate their morality based on the topic, right? Like it doesn't stay standard. It's not like principles are well ingrained. They can look at individual issues and then apply different principles to it, which is hard for me.
Ooh, that was like the most well said insult ever.
Oh, look, I got some friends out there that are attorneys, okay?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Do you get what I mean, though? Like, they can apply very different principles, and I can't do that. Like, usually, if I look at something and analyze it, I've got well-founded principles based on my experience, education, upbringing, everything else. And then I apply those first. So that's why I think politics drives me crazy.
Except for 1 year, I was on the Law and Justice Committee in the Senate, which I loved. And I'm not an attorney, and many of them are, right? So my perspective was different than an attorney's.
Yeah.
And I had a woman's perspective, and that's very much needed over there. I mean, when I go to argue a gun bill, I argue in the eyes of a woman, right? And how we want to protect our own families and, kids and being able to defend ourselves.
Right.
Right. The great equalizer. And that's a perfect person to deliver that message. Yeah. Like a guy like me or Eric tries to deliver that message. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you guys are
I'm short, so I can get away with it
yeah.
a little bit. I was scared. It
Like
was
a
dark and
dwarf.
stormy night. Yeah, exactly.
like a dwarf from Lord of the Rings, I should clarify
Thanks.
that.
Thanks for bringing that
Yeah,
back
you're welcome.
full circle. Appreciate it.
They're very formidable.
Yes. I told you how abusive it is in our office. This is what I get.
Oh my gosh.
So stay away from climate and energy,
Okay. Yeah.
You've got, because we're tying ourselves to California and for, some of the vehicle emissions standards, when they change there, they change in Washington, right?
Right.
We don't have to vote on it, it just does.
It's tied.
It's tied.
Yeah.
It's tied, right? And so they're trying to link our Climate Commitment Act to Canada and California because then our rates would come down. But oh my gosh, we have auctions periodically, right? And the last one is now going to raise our gas prices by another 40 cents per gallon. And that went into effect July 1st. And then there was a 6 cent that they had to raise for transportation. But you see, the thing about the 40 cents per gallon for directly related to climate commitment is it's not 18th Amendment protected. So they can use it for whatever they want. And they're not using it for environmental. So $2 billion have come into the state now, taken out of the pockets of the people in Washington. And they're not being used for
That's an
any environmental.
enormous tax.
That is literally
40 cents.
You're looking across your state and you're looking at all your citizens and you see them like a freaking field of wheat.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a resource to be exploited. How much can we get out of this? And then not return any of it to the hardworking class. It's mind-boggling.
Fleecing them.
I tried so hard to get a return, tax credit back to the people, and but that just didn't even get looked at. It's like, no, everything has to be net neutral, right? So if they increase one here, then it's got to drop somewhere else too.
Is Washington solvent?
Oh gosh, no. So the biggest tax increase in history just passed, right? The governor just
$9
sent
billion.
$9 billion, right? So we're at $78 billion. The last budget that was passed. When I got into the Senate, it was $38 billion, right? So
Jesus.
in that period of time, right?
And what do they have to show for it?
But well,
Higher crime, higher homeless.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's out of control.
yeah. It's just sad.
It is sad. It's causing the Great Migration. I mean,
Because there's good people that live there.
and these good people have had enough. I mean, we're getting so many calls in our real estate business right now.
Yeah.
Like Eric said, people that grew up there, that have established families,
have roots
grandparents.
there.
And that says a lot when they're willing to uproot everything and sell off all of their stuff, which is a pain in the ass.
Often in their 60s.
Right.
Like they're in their 60s and they're like, you know what? This no longer aligns with us in any way, shape, or form. I don't want my grandkids to grow up here, which I completely understand. Those people are leaving. And I don't know about you, but Washington has taken over from California as where people want to move from. Like Washington's the number one state.
I know. Yeah, they're actually losing people, and that was 2 years ago, and that's the first time in years, decades,
Yeah.
that Washington has actually lost people.
That says it all.
Well, that's because they failed at their own tactic. I always say, like the boiling frog thing, right? You can only increase the temperature just a little bit at a time, and that frog will stay in there until it boils and dies. But when you go from 30th out of 50 in 2013 to number 3 out of 50 in 2023 for violent crime rate, people are like, what the hell happened overnight?
Yeah.
You know, people come back. Like I said, I came back from the military after 6 years, and I didn't even recognize downtown Spokane. You know, it's a totally different game. Man.
It's
I mean, the positives for Idaho is it's driving a lot of people that are productive citizens are coming here with money.
Interested members of the community, because I want people to be interested enough to watch the judicial review, and then go, oh, wait
attention.
a minute. And I'm going to do my best to keep my opinion out of it. I'm going to try really, really hard. No promises, but I'm going to try. And then just give you facts, and then you make a good informed decision based on the facts.
The downside, and someone out here will say this, so I'll beat you to it. The growth in North Idaho has driven up home prices and made it unattainable for young people, especially on Idaho wages. So it's creating a lot of challenges. I don't know how to solve those. I'm not smart enough, but.
Well, bringing businesses here. If somebody like Amazon was able to come over here, not Amazon, but a business that could bring a lot of jobs, I think would be. I think Dan Guggen brought that up in the previous podcast.
Yeah,
something because tourism is such a dominating industry here locally.
Right.
And Idaho is attractive to a lot of businesses. I mean, our tax rates here, even with the state income tax, our individual tax burden for our citizens ranks 11th out of 50, and high numbers are good, right? Washington is 45 out of 50. And that's before this $9 billion.
That's right.
Now.
And now they just came out, Ferguson came out and said, oh, we didn't get enough. We're almost another billion in the hole. So now they're going to take the savings, right? The rainy day fund, and they're going to start using that, because that was one of their saving graces, is that, oh, we did this, but we still have money in savings. Now they're having to use it.
So I hear the argument all the time when people are considering Idaho or Washington, Washington doesn't have income tax, but they got every other kind of tax, right?
Well, we do have an income tax. That was at the Supreme Court. So it's the capital gains. The capital gains is an income tax.
Right.
Right. And they did that on purpose, and they sent it. They knew they wanted it to go to the Supreme Court because they knew the Supreme Court would rule with them, and the Supreme Court called it an excise tax, right? But they're working really hard. I mean, that's why the wealth tax isn't going through, because we have to have an equal tax structure, right? You can't charge one person more than the other in our Constitution. So you have to do a constitutional amendment if you want to change that. But so a wealth tax, you can't tax the top 1% unless you're taxing the bottom 1% at the same rate, right? It's got to be the same all the way through. So Ferguson said no wealth tax, right? And they were chomping at the bit to get their wealth tax. And instead, he says, why don't you just try a little wealth tax? Why don't you try a little one here and see how it goes? And then it'll go to the courts. And of course, again, Washington Supreme Court will try it their opinion will come out the way they want it to. And they basically, when they did have the opinion for the capital gains tax, they said, oh, and if you want, bring back the capital or bring back the income tax, and we'll fix that too. Essentially, in their opinion, they said, we'll fix it and you can have an income tax.
Unbelievable.
It was, the opinion blew my mind when I read it.
Do you think Washington is trying to prepare for the lack of federal funding? Because
I don't know. Almost 28% of their funding is federal.
Ooh.
And I'm telling you right now that I don't think this presidency is afraid to say, no, that doesn't align with any of this, and we're pulling all your federal funds.
We're begging them to come in.
And I think that might be the Great Reset, right? I mean, so now they're putting it on the backs of, gosh, I'd estimate the 50% of Washingtonians that are actually working, right? Because they're attracting those that don't. I mean, once that starts to swing, it's tough.
Yeah, I know what the tipping point is.
Yeah. Do you think most people have more in common than we realize as far as Democrats and
I think
Republicans?
We do. I think it's just the way to get to the answer is different.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good way to put it. I had a guy reach out to me on Facebook. He messaged me last night, and he wrote me a long, very well-written message that he's been following our podcast for 6 months. He's very left-leaning. And basically he wanted us to sit down and get coffee and just get my opinion. And I was like, that's very cool, man. We've said it many times on here that we're more than willing to do that. So I appreciate him reaching out. That was a big step. So I'm going to go meet him for coffee or a cider or whatever. Yeah. And just kind of have a conversation. And I think people need to do that more.
Healthy dissent is a product of an involved...
Respectful dissent.
Yes.
Yeah. And exactly. His message was totally respectful and well said. So I'm kind of looking forward to it because I have a lot of liberal family members, most of them. And there's no... You can't communicate, especially when you had the family dynamic, because then there's emotions involved. So I can't have conversations with people frequently about that. So I think this will be good. It'll be a good sounding board for my ideas and for his ideas. I just wish more people were willing to do that. I see it on both sides. Everybody's drawn such a hard line, and they're idiots. They're idiots. And like, come on, we're not all idiots.
It's easier to do like this. It's a lot easier to do it like that than it is.
I call those keyboard warriors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We get a lot of those.
Yeah, we do. We get a couple.
Oh, yeah. And I've had that happen where they'll write me really bad emails, and then I'll meet them in person.
Very different.
Different person. Yeah, they wouldn't dare go. Or I call them out on it.
Yeah.
How do I get off your shit list? What shit list?
Yeah, I get tired of that. I get tired of people. We get, obviously we get a lot of comments on YouTube and many good ones, but we get a lot of bad ones, and it's frustrating because the people draw such a hard line, and sometimes we're not conservative enough, or we're conservative at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, that's the purest.
You're attacking your own. Yeah. Right? I think we all have a similar idea. Yeah, maybe we don't meet eye to eye on every single detail, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's how you find common ground in society, and that's the way it should be.
Extremism is dangerous regardless of what it is. If it's right, if it's left, if it's religion, like extremism can get a little volatile because that's all you have, just those little core beliefs, and there is no room for anybody else's input or any other perspective.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So what's next for you? Retired?
No, actually, I'm working with the business.
Okay.
I mean, because we've been in business for 65 years.
What do you guys do?
We are a kitchen cabinet manufacturer.
No way.
Awesome.
And we sell across the country. We have Japan, New Zealand.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and all of our girls work for us, and so
Awesome.
It's a cool business, but it's harder and harder. I say today that if my husband's father tried to start this now, he wouldn't be able to do it because there's so many rules and regulations and all that,
And that business is in Washington?
It is. We had a factory over here for when my husband, Boise State University, and we had a factory over here and then shut it down and sold the building to Simplot, and but now we wish we'd gone the other direction.
Right.
I was going to say, I know a state that's pretty favorable to businesses like that.
Yeah.
The construction industry is booming.
See, and that was one thing I have to say I have to love was Governor, not Little. Who was the governor before that? Otter.
Butch Otter.
Butch Otter, right. When we were doing all the crazy stuff over here with taxes and stuff and for business, Butch sent letters to businesses in Washington and said, "Hey, come on over."
Were you guys one of them?
Heck yeah. Yes.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
We're competing for productive members of society,
That's
man.
a great way to put it.
And if other states are going to blow it, then fine. Then please come over here.
Yeah, we'll take them.
Be engaged in the community. Pay attention to what's going on locally, politically, all of those things. And bring your jobs over here. You'll get to keep more of your money,
right?
And
Even
then
if
hire
you do
more
have
people.
an income tax,
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
I'm a firm believer.
Any more politics for you, or you done?
No,
Coeur d'Alene's looking for a mayor. I'm just saying.
Right. I have to be a resident for that. I've already looked at my residency here and how long I have to be here. I would say never that I wouldn't do anything again. I know that I've had people ask about that over here, you know, if I came over. But, it's, I don't know. I mean, I'm still on the Legislative Ethics Committee, so I kind of still have my, watching some of the stuff going on, keep me involved in that kind of thing. But it always interests me. I've been asked to run for Congress several times, but that's such a swamp.
Yeah.
And I would like midterms, what would that be like? Because we do have a Democrat in my congressional district that shouldn't be there. It's a Republican district. And we just had a guy that was a little too right crazy. And, that she won.
Yep.
And then she ran and won again. And so, but now there's a Democrat running against her. So that kind of splits the vote, right? And that kind of helps us in there. But I don't know that I'd want to go back and, it's hard for us on the West Coast because of the time differences and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, that would suck.
I thought about it. But
Or you could just, enjoy life with the grandkids or whoever
sitting
you
down
got.
here on the dock.
Yeah, not
Right,
bad.
yeah.
Not bad.
That's right. Yeah, I enjoy that.
That's tough for those with active minds and know there are problems to
Yes.
be vocal about the problems and then not do anything.
That's
about it.
very true. Yeah. I'm a type A personality. Well, I'll never retire.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'll be doing something.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I could less stress anyway. That's what I.
Oh my God, very direct question for you. Is Ferguson worse than Inslee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
He's smarter.
Oh boy.
And a
Conniving.
lot of people didn't like Inslee, but he's smarter and and he blew it, I think, because he came out and said he would work with the Republicans, which pissed off the Democrats in his inaugural speech.
Yeah.
And then turned around and said, we're going to cut a lot of things, and then turn around and pass the highest tax increase in history. So his credibility is pretty shot.
Yeah.
And he's not known for being truthful. So
It's a bad reputation to have.
yeah.
Well, it seems to fit that state just fine.
Yeah.
That's
Good point.
totally okay.
Yeah,
As
but
long as
when can we change that? I mean, we had Dave Reichert run, right? He was the sheriff who caught the Green River Slayer.
Green River Killer.
And I mean, he would have been perfect because he's not far right. He's pretty, but you had the far right not voting for him because he wasn't conservative.
Not conservative
right
enough. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what a lot of people don't understand is that, like me, I had to be pretty in the middle of the road when I was talking to people, far more conservative in my own, personally, in my own mind, I was more, but I governed that way. I ran bills, right, that professed my conservative state.
Yeah.
It seems like, if you go super hard, whichever side, you're not gonna get shit done.
Right. That's exactly right.
I see what you're saying, and I'm sure people would criticize you or whatever. Like, if you want to move the needle in the right direction, it takes small incremental steps, not
Yes, we
a
have to
big,
do the same
giant
thing.
hard line.
We
Yeah.
have to do the same thing, and we have to be prepared for that.
It just seems like right now it's pure party obstinance. It's like, oh, you're right and I'm left now. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna vote no. No matter if it makes total sense or 99% of it you can align with, and the 1% you're like,
Well, and that's like independent, right? You can
Right.
be independent, and that's what worries me about what's happening now, right? The American, right?
Oh, the American Party.
Right, because you're not going to have the people who go to the American Party are going to be the right wing, right?
Yeah.
Leaning, right?
Yeah.
Leaning.
Yeah.
Democrats are going to go there, so you're going to split the right leaning, and then you've split the vote, and now you're going to pretty much guarantee that the Democrats will win the seats.
Yeah.
I
It's
had
always been
not
that
thought
way.
about that. I just heard about it like yesterday. So,
It's always
Because they
been that
do
way.
that.
Sucks.
They do that. Any
Yeah.
independent in Washington, right? I mean, and then you got the thing that worries me too is that I just saw that there's a Democrat senator that's been in. He's running again. He's moderate. He's a fairly moderate guy, and the representative in that district is going to run against him because he's too moderate. So they run against themselves.
Yeah.
And
For more extremism.
that's what they get every time. Yeah.
that's dumb.
I think that's healthy. I think it's totally righteous. Makes total sense. We need more extremism.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll get everything done.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Less mutual collaboration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Less respectful dissent. We just need to be totally in opposition to one another all the time. I hope that it swings back. That's my home state.
Yeah.
I grew up
too.
there. My mom was a cop in Spokane for 20 plus years. Like I have a lot of love for the area that I grew up, but it's not the same place. And until something drastic happens or until federal funding gets cut and they're forced to come back to a little bit more moderate levels and start criminalizing true criminal activities, I don't know.
Well, just protecting our children. I mean,
Right.
across the board there, right? Because you mentioned that one bill that allows them to, well, the Department of Health, that bill we were talking about, right, where the best available science, that they can come out now and pretty much give them a blank check for the Department of Health to do what they want to do. And anybody in the local jurisdictions, you can't usurp them. You cannot go change that law. So they can make you take, basically, for any communicable disease, they can make you take, like, the vaccine, right?
That the best available science. That is a vague statement. That is very concerning.
And if they declare an emergency, well, who gets to declare that?
Yeah.
Like, that's the scariest language in there. All of these things seem reasonable, but once we declare an emergency, then we can
then
do
your
whatever we
constitutional
want.
rights are, there aren't any. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I lived that. And I ran the bill to change the governor's emergency powers for every year after COVID. And they would not talk about it. They would not have a hearing. They would not have the conversation.
Freaking
It was
scary.
not at all.
That's where you need an elected sheriff to come in and say, you know what?
Yeah.
Nobody in my county needs to follow that. How about that?
Yep, there you go.
That's why we love sheriffs. Well, all right. Let's wrap it up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really
that was
appreciate
really
your
good.
time.
Oh,
Really
yeah,
good
it's
insight.
fun.
Yeah,
It
that was
great.
fun. We'll have to do it again sometime.
I wish you luck, and there's
Thank you.
every reason
Yeah.
that I would support that, because I'm leading over here. So,
Right.
I went
Right.
one step in.
Yep, you and a lot of other folks. So, we are doing what we can to help kind of keep pushing the needle in the right direction.
That's great.
Let's keep people informed. Let them make their own
That's it,
decisions.
man. That's the huge part, right? You can't trust legacy media anymore at all. Either side. And I know somebody's going to get out there. You can trust Fox News. I'm like,
It's entertainment.
If you want to get angry all day, then listen to Fox News all day. It will make you angry again.
And if you're angry, consider yourself entertained. It's entertainment. Like you have to go find your own open source.
Yep.
Right.
Which is very hard to do these days.
Right, because you have to find it, then you have to trust it.
Yes.
Right, you
Right.
have to test it to know.
And then retest it, because
well,
those things have a
absolutely.
tendency to get skewed in a different direction. So you gotta open up your sources. Too many people bottleneck their sources of information, so then they only think one way, and they're taught how to think.
Yeah,
like that's what drives me nuts about the left sometimes. It's like, why are you just regurgitating this belt-fed narrative? Why don't you go do some research and then come back and have an original thought?
Yeah.
Based on your upbringing and what you apply and all that. It's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. Yeah.
But thank you for fighting the good fight over there, Lynda Wilson, back from the belly of the beast.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that was great.
All right. Catch you next time.
Yeah.